Hi, my name is Jeff Fitzgerald, and I'm going to do a presentation on the value of the calorie, unequal by design. Are all calories created equal? Absolutely not, and I'm going to talk about why. So first, let's approach it from a digestion point of view. So you've got enzymes and digestion disruption. If you took two individuals and you fed them the exact same diet down to the minuscule calories, they actually would not absorb the same energy from those foods, at least not very likely. There are many reasons for this. Let's talk about first something called EPI, exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. Either due to environmental or genetic factors or both, some individuals' pancreases do not produce enough of one or multiple digestive enzymes. Most importantly, we see that with lipase clinically. These individuals don't make nearly enough lipase to digest fatty foods, especially. So they're going to have big chunks of undigested fat that get deposited into their stool. And because it's undigested, that means that they did not absorb the energy that they potentially could have from the food that they were eating. Therefore, 300 calories of a fatty steak for the person who doesn't have EPI is not going to be 300 calories of a fatty steak for the person that does have EPI. You've got lactose intolerance. This can cause diarrhea in a whole lot of adults when they consume dairy products, anything with lactose in it. And if you're having diarrhea, it's going to, flush out your system real quick of the foods that are in there trying to be absorbed. You're not going to absorb them fully. And therefore, you're not going to absorb the potential calories / energy that you could from those foods. Finally, you've got things like Crohn's disease, which inflame the colon. It's an autoimmune condition that causes inflammation, like I said, and famously can cause diarrhea. And people with this disease will see unintentional weight loss very commonly. And this is because their colon is so inflamed that it's not absorbing, or sometimes small intestine is so inflamed that it's not absorbing food correctly, and therefore they're not getting the energy from the food they eat. Then you've got things like micronutrients. So now let's talk about processed foods versus whole foods. So processed foods have things like fiber, electrolytes, minerals, and importantly, micronutrients taken out of them. 1,000 calories from processed foods is generally just going to be, let's say, 800 calories of simple carbs, and then like simple sugars, and then 200 calories of added fat for flavor and texture. Well, there's no mention, you noticed, of the sad vitamin B family over there. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin C, no fiber, no electrolytes, no minerals, no choline, all that stuff. Those are going to come from whole foods. So the more processed foods that you eat and the more calories that you get from those processed foods, the more empty those calories will be, meaning you're going to have a insufficiency of micronutrients, sometimes electrolytes, minerals, and fiber in your diet, as opposed to a diet that was heavy in whole foods or minimally processed foods. Then you've got something called the thermic effect of food. Processed foods are super easy to digest in general. We're going to come back to that in a second. But this means that your body doesn't have to work very hard to break them down. Like I said, they're largely just simple sugars. So there was a study that I linked in my citations where on average, you're going to see about 73 calories to break down processed foods to digest them and absorb them. Whereas a meal of whole foods, you're going to see about 137 calories are expended by the body, which is almost twice as much energy just to break them down and absorb them. Therefore, you're going to burn actually more energy eating whole foods. Finally, you've got satiety and brain chemistry. So processed foods, like I said, get broken down super quick and they don't stay in your system for very long. Therefore, they don't keep you full. They also can change your brain chemistry with things like dopamine and other neurotransmitters and increase cravings and make your brain almost have a addictive phenotype when you don't have them. And these are my citations. Thank you very much.